a brain made of? A scientific answer to this question might be neurons or parts like the hippocampus. But this is what mine is made of. Playdough, the mushy toy that we've all played with when we were little. For me, it was my favorite toy. The little blobs I made were my friends. But maybe it was because I played with Playdough so much that I began to think my own brain was Playdough. And maybe yours should be too. Before we start, I want to just check if everyone has a Playdough brain. It's really simple, and it has just one question. If you had an entire day to spend with anyone in the world, who would you spend it with? That was the same question my teacher asked my class one day. And some people would answer, I wanted to spend my day with Einstein, or Newton, or some other famous guy. But I thought it would be interesting to spend my day with my arch nemesis, or someone I could not agree with at all. And maybe through conversation and spending time together, I could slowly begin to accept their views and their ideas. And once I can accept their ideas and their points of view, what could I not accept? So, I want you to think about this question and remember it from this talk. And it's okay if your answer wasn't your arch nemesis. I'll show you how. Flexibility is the first property we often think of when we talk about Playdough. And in terms of the mind, it can mean being able to bend your perspective so that you get a better picture of the entire situation. I first realized this when I got my dog. Ever since I was little, I've always wanted to have a puppy. And in 6th grade, that dream came true. I remember the first time seeing my dog, and I was ecstatic. It was a 7-week-old Labrador puppy, and all I wanted to do was pet it as much as I could. But it scared the living daylights out of the dog. Imagine. It's his first day away from his mom and his litter, in a foreign place with strange, looming, cackling figures furiously attacking him. And those figures were me and my family. So, understandably, he could have been just a tiny bit scared, but this idea didn't even occur to me until he started to cry at night. So, that night I decided to stay up and comfort him with a blanket so that he would feel like he was back in a pile of slumbering puppies, just like he would be. And that's when I realized the power of being able to bend and change your perspective. It allows individuals to strengthen their bonds. And it even allows individuals across species to strengthen their bonds. And that's the power of flexibility. But let's delve deeper into the idea of Playdough and into the packaging. In a way, the packaging shapes and limits our brains just like the packaging of Playdough does. Social norms and laws do that to our brains today. But what's powerful about Playdough is that it's able to change mold and be able to fit into anything. But what does it mean to change molds? Well, it could mean a new family member, or a new pet, a new job, a new home, any change in your environment. But I experienced something that would alter my brain forever. Last year, I moved from America to China. And I realized how different my life was. As a kid in America, my life was pretty normal. I worried about tests, grades, projects, exams, and that was pretty much it. But being the curious and ambitious person that I am, I felt like there was no purpose in getting good grades and getting 100s on an exam. I felt like the 18 years of my childhood was being wasted. So that's why I agreed to pack my bags and grab onto the chance to experience the other side of the world. And here I am now. For the past year, I've been trying to fit into the mold of a 14-year-old student studying in China. And I realized the mold added a new dimension to my brain. Possibility. Don't get me wrong, my life still revolves around grades, tests, exams, college admissions, and maybe even more so in China. But one essential thing was clear. The people around me was different. The community around me was different. The Playdough brains I met were different. And it's exactly these teachers, students, peers, doormates that inspired me to change something about the purpose of my actions. I wanted to impact my community. I want to build a community where Playdough brains can grow and cultivate, and where they can mix and share ideas. So this year I decided to start by sharing something I'm very passionate about: debate. I may not be an expert of any sorts of debate, but I'll share the little knowledge I know about debate with my peers in hopes of something in return. And it's exactly this exchange of ideas that allowed me to meet new people, to learn a new language, and to experience a new culture. And without being able to take the leap of faith in changing molds and knowing I'll be alright, without the flexibility and the ability of Playdough to fit into any mold, I would not be here today. I would not have moved all the way across the world. But Playdough minds aren't as rare as you may think. Galileo was flexible enough to think of a new version of the entire galaxy. Shakespeare was not limited by the definitions of femininity and women's roles at his time. Just look at Juliet and Lady Macbeth. And then there are people that are just like me, who are inspired by their communities and wanted to change something about the world. Martin Luther King Jr., Malala, Mahatma Gandhi, all managed to redefine the very package our brains come pre-packaged in. But maybe you're thinking, great, well, why Playdough? Why did I choose Playdough to describe my thinking philosophy? I could have chosen any other substance in the world, but why would it have to be Playdough? Let's think about this together. On one hand, I could have chosen water. I mean, water mixes even better than Playdough, so why didn't I choose water? But when water mixes, it loses its individuality. It becomes part of a giant pool. So then, what's the point of sharing and mixing in the first place if you lose yourself? On the other side of the spectrum, we have stone or rock. But if you have a mind of stone and a brain of rock, how could you accept new ideas? How could you accept change of any sort? So let's look at the middle. Play. That's literally the same thing as Playdough. But why did I choose Playdough? Well, that's because play misses something that's that pure part of Playdough, which is innocence and curiosity that only children can have. And without this innate ability to question things in the world, we wouldn't have discoveries. So, how do we use our Playdough brains? Simple. Through connections and communication. Connections. we might be strangers to each other, it felt a bond, just a short 10-20-minute game of rugby. And isn't it weird how just by passing balls around, we can piece our brains together and form one, just like this. And it showed me how powerful connection can be sometimes. And it doesn't even have to be in words. The second way to use your Playdough brain would be through conversations. But when we're having these conversations, it's not between a parent and a child or a teacher and a student. It's between two individual Playdough brains. I remember specifically this one conversation between me and my dad when he was talking about something he read in a book. It was the idea that we can save our memories into thumb drives and through AI technology basically live forever. And he posed this question: what if we were allowed to copy and paste old memories into new brains? Wouldn't that make our learning curve exponentially faster? This one question, in a couple of minutes, allowed my Playdough brain to expand tenfold. But some people might think that these questions and these mind simulations are pointless, or something I should do when I can't fall asleep at night. But these are the very questions that people like Steve Jobs asked and contemplated when he created the first iPhone. It's a question that people like Robert E. Kahn and Vint Cerf asked when they created the internet. It's the exact questions that innovators and inventors contemplate when they create a whole new world for us. So, I want you to recall the question I asked you at the beginning of this talk. And think, maybe by following with my speech and thinking a little yourself, maybe it was easier to arrive at a different or unexpected conclusion. What I want to demonstrate to you all is that everyone has a Playdough brain. The only difference is that some people use it more than others. And especially in the digital age, where connection and communication happens in an instant, conflicts happen in an instant. And world leaders around the world have resulted to signing treaties or documenting their agreements officially in paper. But the real change, the effective change, starts from the people. It starts from the people's minds. So, for me to become possible, for communities and minority groups around the world to become possible, for everyone to become possible, we need to find our Playdough brains in its power so that we can become possible. Thank you.
Everyone has a Playdough brain. The only difference is that some people use it more than others. And especially in the digital age where communication and connection happens in an instant, conflicts also happen in an instant. And leaders around the world have resulted to signing treaties or documenting official agreements on paper. But the meaningful and effective change that happens starts from the people. It starts from their minds. So for me to become possible, for communities around the world to become possible, and for everyone to become possible, we need to find our Playdough brains and to find its power so that we can become possible. Thank you.